Video is all about the dogs again. So before I get to the dash cameras, I wanted to show you regarding the previous video. I put in a longer screw there with one of those. I forgot what those are called. So I can get a zip tie there. So this is super secure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zip ties holding the umbrella cover over the mini split. So let's go into the camera system. Let me start in the back. I actually have 4 cameras hooked up in this transit van. One of the cameras is located here, I believe. Let me see. So it records everything going out the rear of the the rear. And the way this one is mounted is just temporarily with a magnet, neodymium, whatever kind of magnet, on a bracket there. And then the wire goes up through there. And so the wire is going to go over the mini split's air handler out of sight through there and all the way to the front of the vehicle. You can't see it at all, but it's recording. About the only tool you need is something like this. This works better than a credit card. Obviously made in China. Look, a piece of it chipped off the edge there. I think this came with a window tint kit, or window tint I bought. They just included it. So here are 3 more cameras right here. This is a Bluetooth speaker that the previous owner of the van has installed, and this wire here is coming from the rear camera, going underneath through here. And I use these lever connections, which I can eventually kind of zip tie or whatever a little bit tighter out of the way. So it's a fairly clean install, considering what we have here is the factory rear view mirror, which I don't use, and it has a built-in rear backup camera there that I wish had the feature of being on all the time. So what I did is I programmed this dash camera so that I could see what's going on all the time. You know what I forgot to do? I need to show you the power source. This is not coming from the factory battery, which is mounted under the seat right there. No, we don't do that. What we do in the world of professionalism is we bypass the factory battery and we tie into the Tesla module mounted in this box, and it goes since it's 24 volt, it goes to that step down, goes from 24 to 12 over here to a fuse box, and then from there goes out to the front of the vehicle to send 12 volt 10 amp fuse. That was just my guess what to use. Goes out through the front of the vehicle, and we have the 12 volt power line coming from under the front seat, driver's seat, through the pedestal, under the protective cover, up through here, coming under there, all the way through here, up through there, routed through here, and into my makeshift bus bar, which is the lever junction right here. This has 5 junctions for each positive and negative. This one here is negative, that's positive. And so I can connect 4 devices or more. I can share ports also with thinner wire, and it powers all of my dash cams all up in here without having to have the dash cam wires coming down through to the vehicle's cigarette lighter port, which I don't like doing because I don't want to run my dash cams from the vehicle battery, because then I can only practically power the dash cams when the ignition is on or when I'm driving. So instead, we're coming off of the Tesla module, which I have this meter mounted similarly from the way I get the 12 volt power. This goes to the Tesla module so I can monitor the voltage as I'm driving, especially since I use DC to DC chargers, and that's a different story. So going back to the dash cam system here, you can see lots of these lever connections, and what I did is I cut these cords short. I had to still use the factory cigarette lighter adapter with each dash cam because these have the microchips in them that are necessary to power the dash cams. So in other words, I couldn't, even though the USB cable for the most part is just simply a positive and negative wire, in this case, I couldn't have this wired directly to the 12 volt wire, because it requires the microchip system in the cigarette lighter plug that comes with the dash cam. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is they have some kind of proprietary voltage regulator or something within each of these adapters, so they're kind of bulky, and that's why they're up here. But what I like is these do put out a blue light, so it kind of acts as a theft deterrent to make it look like I have a security system in here. I think if a burglar looked through the window and saw this, they would kind of maybe think twice about breaking in, because they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know if this is some kind of FBI vehicle or GPS tracking system. They may not want to take a chance, or the opposite. They might want to steal all this stuff, but generally they probably wouldn't want to take a chance, not knowing what it is, especially with all these lights and stuff. And so this camera is mounted with something like VHB tape, very high bond tape, to the glass. This one I had to screw into the vehicle plastic housing up here, and this one has VHB tape on one side, and it's pushed in underneath this plastic. So I tried to use as minimal amount of screws as possible in case I want to resell the vehicle and take all this stuff out. It won't have a whole bunch of holes in it. Like my Sprinter van over there has a lot of holes from doing all kinds of experiments on how to do this. So I have 7 years experience hooking this stuff up on the Sprinter van at its expense, because it's very holy. So this one I only have maybe 2 holes so far, and all this mess, I think I screwed in 2 or 3 little screws. And even this light here, because for the same reason, I don't like using the factory light. In case I leave it on, it may deaden the battery, because even 12.4 is getting a little bit low. That's probably ideal voltage, but I'm just not comfortable with that. And so, and that's reading from the factory van battery right there, which I like to monitor sometimes. And so this is running 24/7. So for example, if I'm sitting in here and eating or whatever, I can see what's going on behind me without having to look at any kind of specific security system or log into anything on my phone to see a Wi-Fi camera. This is all the time recording, and it has a, what are those called, SD mini card memory chip in there or whatever. I think generally they have a maximum of 256 gigabytes, and some of the older ones and even some of the newer ones only can handle maybe 32 to 64 gigabytes. I think probably about 512 is the max. And sometimes they even need a proprietary type of memory card to work right. Otherwise they fail. And so I wired in, sharing this junction here, which is actually warm, right? Warm to the touch because I got so much stuff running here. I wired in this 12 volt light here so that if I want to light up the front end of the vehicle while it's off for reading or whatever, to look for stuff. I hate using the factory stuff for the reason I mentioned. Plus, these buttons are really quirky, and they put out a really low K light, a really like an amber light, which I don't like. And so I think they have, since this is 2018 model vehicle, I think it has a timer where it doesn't drain the battery, but I still don't like doing it. So if I leave that on, at least I know, even if it's on 24 hours, it has a minimal effect on the Tesla module running out. And I like the brighter light. I think this is about 4,000 to 5,000 K light color, as opposed to the factory built-in light is probably about 2,000 K color, which I don't like. So I like bright for reading and all that. And this one I have choice between like that. And I'll probably put another one over here for the passenger. Yeah, as far as I know, there's no setting where I can have the rear view on all the time while driving. So when I'm driving, I like to see what's going on behind me, because otherwise, unless the door's open, I can't see out the back. The Transit has better side view mirrors than the Sprinter does regarding the more panoramic one on the bottom. Well, it's not panoramic, it's more wide view. The bottom one is superior to the Sprinter. The Sprinter is actually dangerous because you can't see the blind spot. But this one with the Transit, you can. And I have this warning on there in case somebody works on my vehicle. They know they're being recorded at all times. And right there are my levels. Since this is a camper van, I can see how to park level without getting out and doing anything. So I really like having DC power up here, because I don't have to run anything down to any of these ports down here. I learned from living in the Sprinter van for 6 years, it's really important to have your RV battery DC up here somehow. And all I had to do was run 2 lines, positive and negative. And I could have run just positive and then connect the negative to the ground on the vehicle, but I couldn't find it without taking some cover off or something, which I didn't want to do. And this 12 volt DC light has the option to have a light on, a blue circle light right there, and I'll keep that on all the time to make it look like it has a security system. I do plan on getting a security system installed, but that's not a high priority yet. So what are the other 3 cameras pointing at? This one points to the right. It covers this area here, all of this window, and a little bit out front there. And then this one for the front. This one for the this one covers like if I get pulled over and I roll down my window and a police officer's giving me a bunch of crap, I can have it recorded 24/7 here. And when I lived in my van full-time for 6 years, I got several law enforcement officers in trouble for lying and harassing me by showing this video to their supervisors. It was extremely effective. I've actually I'm responsible for overhauling the Utah State Park system on how they treat people with service animals. You can see that video I have uploaded. And I am also responsible for overhauling the National Forest campground system on how their hosts treat camping guests, because these dash cams right here were recording one of the camping hosts harassing me through front and side views, and they use that video for training their hosts and their employees. So both the Utah State Park and the National Forest system has substantial changes due to these dash cameras and the way I shared those videos with management at those facilities. Looking on the outside, you can't really see much, partly because I have illegal front windshield tint. I think it's a 30% tint on the front windshield. That's not legal in any state, I don't think. And so that kind of helps for security. I really need that tint for my own safety, because I am, I guess it's from being of European descent, extremely sensitive to bright lights and sunlights and the new modern LED lights. So they really bother me when I'm driving, and that 30% makes it much safer for me. What are you doing? Hey girl! It wasn't this service dog that was part of the video ordeal in Utah. It was my previous one. And this Ford Transit did not come with vanity mirrors on the visors, so I installed these that have lights on them. Also, here's some more light. Both sides, pretty cool. These are rechargeable through USB cable, so all I have to do is run the cable from there, and then I need to get a USB. Oh no, I already have one right there. There's USB input here. So I really like this, where I can see out the back as I'm sitting up front all the time, 24/7. Never comes off. That's love it. This is for my security and protection. I can see in safety, always see what's in back of me. But I won't really look unless I hear some noise or something, then I'll take a look. But when I'm driving for safety, this is my new rear view mirror, since I always drive with the back windows closed, and the factory does not allow me to turn this on as I'm driving, which I think they should. Corey, I don't know if I'm going to keep this radio yet or not. I haven't used it. Once I learn how to use it, I bet it'd be okay. This power meter for the RV battery is programmable somehow, and I haven't learned how to do it. Something to do with, you hold down this button and then you can scroll through different settings to change them, but I don't know. And it's interesting here, it switches from milliamps to amps. What a bonded pair that is. Some of these cables hanging loose like this is, I believe, for optional GPS devices I can put on here, which I have them. I just haven't done it yet. It's just not my priority. I don't know why I need to know GPS coordinates or whatever, because I know where I'm doing the video at. So like that port right there, I think is to insert, or some of these, see, that one might be for another additional camera, but I think I have enough. I have 4 cameras so far. I think ideally for security, you would want video uploaded to the cloud in case somebody steals your cameras, you have no video. So I'll be looking into uploading to the cloud, but that only works if you have internet. So that makes it more complicated. All right, that's about it for now.